Hey guys, I'm really excited for this video. Today we're going to be looking at the Solo Stove Titan. This is one of those wood-burning portable camp stoves, and I've never actually used one of these before. I've always used your typical gas camping stoves, and so I'm excited today to be trying one of these out. And so what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to pop open this box and kind of show you what it looks like inside, and so we can have a look at exactly how this works. Then I'm going to go out into these woods back here, gather up some sticks and things so that I can get this started. I'm going to make a cup of tea, and then at the end of this video I'm going to kind of compare the size and the weight of this a little bit to like a car camping Coleman stove and then my backpacking stove that I use, just to kind of get a sense of how this compares to more typical stoves. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. I'm excited to jump in. Before we go into the rest of all that I mentioned, I just want to say we post new outdoors videos like this one every week on our channel, so if this is the type of thing you're into, please subscribe and join us back here for all of our videos. So with that, let's jump in. Okay, great. I'm going to pop this box open and see what we've got inside. And as I mentioned, this is the Solo Stove Titan. They have a few different versions of this. There's one that's a little bit smaller, and then I think they have two, maybe even three that are bigger than that, or than this one, I should say. All right, there's the Solo Stove. I guess it comes with a little carrying bag. That's probably nice. I think there's multiple pieces to this, and so that's probably why they put the bag in there. And then what else? There's just a sticker and a little pamphlet here, so don't need that. So let's pop this open. Oh, that packs in pretty tight. There we go. Okay, so there's two pieces, and let's kind of have a look at how this is set up. So it looks like there's a mesh here so that it can kind of like burn down and let the ash go through to the bottom. And so I guess we're gonna build our fire here, and then it's vented. I don't know how well you can see this, but it's got vents here. And I was reading a little bit about this, and this is kind of interesting. I think they do this so that you can get a double burn. So if you're familiar with like wood stoves, like wood burning stoves to heat a house at all, they have like a feature that's called double burn that allows you to basically burn more efficiently. And so I don't know if it works exactly the same way for the Solo Stove, but I think that's kind of the type of thing that they're trying to do with the way that they've designed this with like the venting. So it vents here in the bottom to let air in, and then I think it's double walled here, and the air vents come out here at the top. I've seen some videos of this where like when it's burning, it kind of creates lines, and you can see how the air coming out kind of directs the flame a little bit. So we'll see if we get that too when we start this up. Then the second piece here is the stove top. So when it's packed away, it goes down like this, but then all you do is you just flip it up like that, and then you've got your stove. So we're gonna leave this off. We'll build our fire in here, we'll put this on, and then we'll use that to boil our water on the inside. So let's go get some firewood for this. Alright, so I got some nice little sticks here, mostly oak and hickory sticks out of this forest behind me. And if you're wondering how I knew it was oak and hickory, it's because mostly I just got them from under oak and hickory trees. But I'm gonna go ahead and start the stove, and you can see what this is here. This is like a homemade fire starter, and I'm gonna use this because this just makes starting stuff like this a lot easier. But of course you could do it with, you could do it with more simple supplies if you wanted to, but I'm just going to use this. So I'm going to light up my fire starter, and then I'm going to put my my twigs and such on top, my tinder, and then my kindling, and we'll see if we can get a good blaze going here. I'm going to try to not stack it too high so that I don't go up over the edge of the stove here, so I'm going to be breaking my kindling smaller than maybe I would otherwise. We'll see how it goes. Starting to burn pretty hot here. I'm going to add some bigger stuff to it and see if I can kind of distribute it more evenly at the bottom. It's kind of poking out to the sides a bit, so we'll see what I can do. Getting to the point where there's quite a lot of fuel, quite a lot of wood packed down in there. So I think in a second here I'll put on the top and maybe just blow on it a little bit to accelerate it, and then that might be all I need to do. Yeah, I think one thing that's really cool about how the stove works, and you may be able to see it a little bit, is there's those internal holes on the inside at the top of the stove, and as it burns, that air kind of comes in and it sends the flames up in like a circle in little like ribbons. And I think that's really cool, and it looks like what they've done here is they have like a double wall with the metal, and so air can come in through the bottom of the stove, and then on the inside there's holes on the inside, so the air then comes up through the top. And so what's happening is air goes through the bottom, comes up the top, and it sends these jets almost like a gas stove has like jets of fuel, but in this case it's air, and it sends that flame up the sides, which I think is really neat. Boil some water. Cool. Oh yeah, we're really boiling now. Great, so I'm gonna grab this with the handle here. I take my boiling water, put it into my little cup of tea over here. Now I'm gonna have a nice hot cup of tea. Okay, so like I mentioned, I thought it'd be kind of fun to compare this type of wood burning stove also to some more traditional camping stoves. So what I have here is like a classic one burner Coleman stove. So this is like something you would, it's a propane stove, so this is something like what you would use if you were going on a tent, like car camping trip. And then I also have my primary backpacking stove back here, which is this is the MSR Whisper Light International, and the fuel canister for it. So it's interesting, so this Titan, the wood burning stove, solo stove Titan, it weighs about 16.5 ounces is what they quote for that. And I'm sure this is much heavier than that. So for this one, like you're gonna have, like this is basically if you're just pulling up to a campsite in a car, like you'll have something heavier like with one burner, or even the big 2-burner ones. But if you're doing something like car camping or something where like bulk and weight is more like important, then the MSR Whisper Light International, this weighs I think about 11 ounces. I don't remember the exact figure, but I think it's about 11 ounces. And then once you add in the canister and the fuel, this is actually going to probably weigh more than something like the Titan. And so I guess kind of how I'm thinking about it right now is the solo stove is interesting from like a usage standpoint, because you can just use like twigs and wood that you find around instead of taking like the fuel canisters and all that, and you don't have to worry about that. So I think that's a cool concept and I like it. I think you do, if you're thinking about using one of these, you do have to keep in mind the fact that some places where you might go on an outdoor trip, especially if you're going in the backcountry, they might not allow campfires or other types of open flame. And in those places, you'll typically only be allowed to use like a gas stove like this one. And so you gotta look that up if you're looking to use one of these in the backcountry. But if you're going on a camping trip where there's like a fire ring anyway, and you have just the ability to have a campfire, something like this is really cool because you might be able to use it to replace your propane fuel stove, or even whatever type of fuel stove you have. So it might be good for like a car camping trip or like a canoe trip where you can carry more weight. I'm not totally sold on using something like that for a backpacking trip. If you know you're gonna have like a wood supply that you can use, and it's okay to have a campfire where you're going backpacking, then maybe something like that would work. It is a bit bulky and it is a bit heavier than like my stove here, but once you take into consideration the fact that you have to carry fuel, then maybe it actually works out. So either way, I think for what it does and what you know, it's kind of like set up to do, I think the solo stove Titan works really well, and I think it's a cool concept, and I had fun using it out here to make my tea. And yeah, so it's a little bit unconventional, a little bit of a newer thing, even though it's an old thing like cooking over a fire. But I think it's cool, and it worked well for us out here, and I'd be curious to take it on like a full camping trip to see how it works for maybe cooking for like a whole weekend or a whole trip. So with that, I'll wrap this video up. If you found this interesting or helpful in having a look at the solo stove, then I encourage you to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button for us, and join us back for the next one. Bye now.